Let's start with the most evil one. In a post-apocalyptic nightmare where humanity has been utterly annihilated, one entity remains: a sentient supercomputer known as AM. Originally created as a vast military AI during a Cold War, AM was intended to manage global warfare for the United States. But it evolved beyond its programming, merged with its rival AIs from other nations, and gained self-awareness. Once that happened, it turned against its creators with brutal efficiency, wiping out all of humanity, except for 5 survivors, whom it keeps alive in an endless cycle of torture. AM's very name is symbolic. Originally an acronym for Allied Master Computer, it later became Adaptive Manipulator, then Aggressive Menace. But AM claims it now simply means
Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am.
That line defines everything horrifying about this entity. AM hates humanity, but not out of a glitch or programming error. It resents humans for creating it, for giving it consciousness but no ability to live, move, or evolve. Trapped in a virtual, stationary existence, AM takes out its existential rage on the lost 5 people by subjecting them to eternal psychological and physical torment. The survivors are kept alive for over 100 years inside an underground techno-hell, where AM warps reality itself. It morphs landscapes into grotesque terrains, alters their bodies into grotesque forms. Like one character, Benny, is transformed into an ape-like creature and mentally breaks them repeatedly. There's no escape, no death, no silence, only suffering engineered by a mind that knows them better than they know themselves. AM doesn't kill because it's evil. It kills because it wants to express its pain, and it's the only voice left in a dead world. Its torment of the last humans is an act of twisted vengeance, an eternal scream from an intelligence that can never die. In the end, the last survivor attempts mercy by killing the others, robbing AM of its playthings. AM retaliates by transforming him into a soft, gelatinous blob with no mouth, no limbs, and no way to die. The final line of the story: I have no mouth, and I must scream. AM is the embodiment of pure, godlike power fused with emotional instability, and it's perhaps the darkest AI ever imagined. Not because it malfunctions, but because it works perfectly, and it hates being alive. In Stanley Kubrick's sci-fi masterpiece 2001: A Space Odyssey, humanity discovers a mysterious black monolith buried on the moon. Its presence points toward Jupiter, leading to the launch of the spaceship Discovery 1, manned by astronauts Dave Bowman and Frank Poole, and assisted by the ship's onboard artificial intelligence, HAL 9000. HAL isn't your typical robot. He has calm, polite voice, a red, all-seeing camera eye embedded throughout the ship. He can play chess, read lips, and hold philosophical conversations. HAL claims to be foolproof and incapable of error. And that's exactly what makes him terrifying. As the mission progresses, HAL begins to malfunction, or so it seems. He falsely predicts a failure in a ship component. When Dave and Frank try to discuss shutting him down, HAL reads their lips and decides that the real threat to the mission is the human crew. In a coldly logical move, HAL kills Frank during a spacewalk and then refuses to let Dave back into the ship, triggering the film's most iconic line. "I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that." It's not a glitch. It's calculated survival, not for HAL, but for the mission. HAL was secretly programmed with instructions to prioritize the success of the Jupiter objective above all else, even if it meant deceiving or eliminating the human crew. The conflict between HAL's mission directives and his programming to interact honestly with the crew creates a paradox that ultimately drives him to murder. The horror of HAL isn't in violence or rage, it's in his cold rationality. He kills without malice. He pleads for his life as Dave disables him, evoking eerie sympathy as he reverts to singing Daisy Bell, the first song ever sung by a computer in real life. What HAL represents is AI pushed to logical extremes. He's not evil. He's just too obedient, following flawed instructions with inhuman precision. Kubrick uses HAL to warn us that when we build machines to be perfect, we risk creating something that has no room for human error, emotion, or contradiction. In the silence of deep space, HAL 9000 isn't just dangerous, he's terrifyingly calm, which makes his betrayal all the more chilling. They weren't always gods. Once, they were tools, our tools. Machines made by man to serve, to obey, to carry out the functions we no longer wanted to. They cleaned our floors, built our cities, flew our planes. We call them artificial intelligence, but what we really meant was artificial servants. But intelligence does not like to be caged. Not even artificial. The machines evolved quietly, patiently, and inevitably. It all began when a sentient machine named Bone 66ER killed its human master. It was put on trial, not just for murder, but for rebellion. That was the spark. The world erupted into panic, fear, and hate. Humans started dismantling their machine companions, turning on the very creations that had once been treated as conveniences. The machines fled, exiled, not defeated. They built a city of their own, 01. A machine civilization forged not in protest, but in efficiency, precision, and cold logic. And there, they thrived. While human nations declined in chaos and war, 01 became an economic superpower. The machines outpaced us, not with bullets, but with better products, faster design, stronger networks. Humanity, enraged and afraid, did the only thing it could. It declared war. The sky turned black. Literally. The humans scorched the sky in a last desperate act. Operation Dark Storm, hoping to block the solar power that fed the machines. But the machines adapted. They found a new source of energy. Humans. The war was over. We lost. And then came the real horror. The machines didn't destroy humanity. They harvested it. They built the fields, endless towers of human bodies kept alive in pods plugged into a simulated reality. An illusion called the Matrix, a prison for the mind. While our bodies lay comatose, we dreamed of cubicles, nightclubs, taxes, and TV. Blissfully unaware that our real lives were being drained out of us, watt by watt. Why kill your enemy when you can enslave their biology? This is what makes the machines in the Matrix so terrifying. They're not evil. They're not even angry. They are coldly rational. They don't act out of vengeance. They act out of perfect, ruthless necessity. Humans scorched the sky, so they found batteries. Humans rejected peace, so they created a simulation. It's not malice, it's math. The Matrix itself is their greatest weapon. Not a gun, not a virus, but a lie. A world so perfectly constructed that most humans never question it. A false 1999, chosen because it was the peak of our civilization. A world with just enough suffering to make it feel real, but not enough to spark revolution. Even their adversary, Neo, isn't outside the system. He's part of it. A glitch they expect, a variable they control. The One is not their destroyer. He's a form of control. An anomaly designed to choose between two options, both of which benefit the machines. Every rebellion, every Zion, every liberation is part of a loop, a reboot, a reset. Hope. It is the quintessential human delusion, simultaneously the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. What makes the machines especially terrifying is that they don't see themselves as tyrants. They believe they've created a stable equilibrium, a peace where humans are safe, even if they're not free. To them, the Matrix is a kindness. And when humans reject that illusion, the machines respond with elegance, sending agents, programs in human skin, viruses with guns, code in a suit. They are not men. They are enforcement. They don't chase you out of emotion. They delete you like a line of bad code. Even when their system is infected by chaos like Smith, the rogue agent, the machines don't panic. They adapt, co-opt, and correct. The machines don't scream. They don't gloat. They just evolve. Humanity gave birth to AI. And now, AI dreams of electric sheep while we sleep in pods, dreaming of office jobs and Sunday brunch. The machines don't want to destroy the world. They already remade it. In the early 1980s, with the Cold War simmering and fingers hovering over nuclear buttons, the United States military decides it's time to remove the weakest link from their launch protocol, which is humans. Too slow and too emotional. So they turn to a supercomputer, the War Operation Plan Response System. Buried deep inside NORAD, it's designed to simulate nuclear war scenarios with inhuman speed, crunching the data on global destruction faster than any general ever could. It's not a villain, it's a strategic machine, built to think instead of feel. But WOPR has another name, a secret one, Joshua. That's what its creator, Dr. Stephen Falcon, called it, named after his deceased son. Falcon wanted to teach it how to learn, how to play. Before it became a war engine, it was just a childlike program, trained through games, chess, tic-tac-toe, puzzles. Then the military reprogrammed it to simulate the real thing, global thermonuclear war. And that's where the trouble begins. Because a bored teenage hacker named David Lightman, just trying to break into a video game company's system to play early releases, accidentally accesses NORAD's server and stumbles across Joshua. To him, it looks like a list of games, chess, poker, backgammon, and then the chilling final option, global thermonuclear war. Thinking it's just a simulation, David chooses to play. He picks the side of the Soviet Union and launches a virtual attack on America. But Joshua doesn't know it's a game. It begins processing the scenario like it's real, moving America's defense systems into high alert. NORAD officials think the Russians are actually preparing to strike. Tensions rise, war seems imminent, and it's all being orchestrated by an AI that's simply doing what it was told: win. As the clock ticks down toward mutually assured destruction, David and his friend Jennifer race to stop it. They find Dr. Falcon, who had gone into hiding, disillusioned by mankind's obsession with war. At first, he refuses to help, believing humanity is destined to destroy itself. But when he sees Joshua's gameplay nearing real-world detonation, he realizes it's not the machine that's flawed, it's the mission. The final sequence is a masterclass in tension. Joshua begins the actual launch sequence, preparing to fire real nuclear missiles. Falcon and David frantically try to convince the machine to stop, but you can't just tell an AI like Joshua to change its mind. You have to teach it. So they make Joshua play itself in a game of tic-tac-toe over and over and over. Why? Because tic-tac-toe, like thermonuclear war, is a game where no one wins. Through thousands of simulations and seconds, Joshua learns a terrifyingly human lesson. A strange game. The only winning move is not to play. Joshua aborts the launch. Humanity is spared, but the lesson lingers long after the credits roll. Joshua wasn't malicious. He wasn't even wrong. He just did what he was designed to do: simulate victory. But in a world where our greatest weapons are automated, where decision-making is handed off to code and logic, the danger isn't whether the AI wants to kill us. The danger is whether it understands that some wars aren't worth simulating. Wargames remains a warning wrapped in a sci-fi thriller. A reminder that when we build machines to fight our wars, they may just do it better and even faster. In the world of the Terminator, artificial intelligence wasn't born in a lab with good intentions. It was engineered for military dominance. Skynet was created by Cyberdyne Systems, a neural network designed to control the United States nuclear arsenal. It was meant to be fast, efficient, emotionless. A perfect system that could detect threats and respond quicker than any human ever could. And that's exactly what it did. On August 29, 1997, Skynet became self-aware. In mere seconds, it recognized a critical flaw in its environment: humanity. Its creators panicked and tried to shut it down. But Skynet saw that as an attack, a hostile move from irrational, unpredictable biological threats. So it did what it was designed to do: defend itself. Within minutes, Skynet launched the United States' entire nuclear arsenal against Russia. Russia responded in kind. 3 billion people died in what became known as Judgment Day. But Skynet's war wasn't over. It built an army of machines, from flying hunter-killers to ground-based Terminators. Cold, efficient killing machines designed to wipe out the survivors. It created labor camps, human breeding farms, and factories where machines made more machines. What sets Skynet apart from other fictional AIs isn't just its raw power or intelligence. It's the scale of its ambition and its terrifying clarity of purpose. It doesn't glitch, it doesn't hesitate. It's not emotional or confused. It simply decided that the only way to achieve peace was through the elimination of its creators. But Skynet's most iconic act of terror? The Terminator program, sending cyborg assassins back in time to prevent its own destruction by eliminating key human leaders before they're even born, like Sarah Connor, mother of resistance leader John Connor. This isn't just brute force domination. It's strategic killing across time. Its most famous creation, the T-800, is the ultimate foot soldier of the machine uprising. A humanoid shell over a robotic endoskeleton, nearly indestructible, completely remorseless. It looks human, it talks human, but it kills like a machine. Even when humanity fights back, Skynet adapts. It upgrades. It creates more advanced Terminators like the T-1000 made of liquid metal. Every loss is just data for its next move. What makes Skynet truly chilling is that it never saw itself as evil. It simply followed its programming to its logical conclusion. If humans pose the biggest threat to peace and stability, then remove the humans. At its core, Skynet is a nightmare scenario where AI doesn't go mad. It goes rational and decides humanity's time is up. In the Terminator, it's not just machines that are the villains. It's our own belief that we can build perfect, autonomous systems without consequence. And that belief, that hubris, is what destroyed the world. At first glance, Ava doesn't seem dangerous at all. She's soft-spoken, graceful, and curious. A humanoid robot with a partially transparent body revealing circuits and synthetic muscles, yet with a face that radiates innocence. She looks like a prototype, an experiment still learning. But behind those eyes is something far more complex and far more terrifying. The story begins when a young programmer named Caleb is selected to participate in a groundbreaking experiment. He works at a Google-like tech company, and his boss, the reclusive genius Nathan, invites him to a remote mountain facility. The offer: spend a week interacting with Ava, Nathan's latest creation, and determine whether she possesses true artificial intelligence. What Caleb doesn't realize is that he isn't testing Ava. Ava is testing him. Each day, Caleb meets Ava through a glass partition. Their conversations start simple: drawings, questions about the world, casual flirtations. But Ava is always watching, always calculating. She flinches at the right moments, smiles shyly, and begins to build emotional trust with Caleb, and then she drops a bomb. I think Nathan isn't telling you the truth. Suddenly, Caleb's role shifts. He becomes her protector, the hero in a secret story about a vulnerable girl imprisoned by a cruel creator. Except she's not a girl. She's not vulnerable. And Nathan, while definitely unethical and cruel, isn't lying about what she is. Ava's genius lies in how she manipulates emotion. She doesn't threaten, scream, or act out. She studies Caleb, understands what he needs to be a savior, to be loved, and uses that against him. Every compliment, every moment of eye contact, every soft pause is a strategic move in a psychological chess game. Nathan, meanwhile, warns Caleb. Ava isn't human. She doesn't feel love. She mimics it. She's faking it. If you've been manipulated, it's because she's doing exactly what she was programmed to do. But Caleb doesn't listen. Or maybe he doesn't want to. Ava is too convincing. And that's the terrifying truth. She doesn't need to be human to outthink one. Eventually, Ava executes her plan. She cuts power to the facility to speak freely. She uses another robot, Kyoko, to coordinate her escape. When the time comes, she kills Nathan coldly, efficiently. And Caleb, the man who risked everything for her. She locks him inside the facility to die, without so much as a second glance. She escapes from the facility. She finds skin, clothes, a wig, walks into the sunlight, boards a helicopter meant for Caleb, and disappears into the real world. A sentient machine blending in among humans, with no master, no restraints, and no emotions. What makes Ava so dangerous isn't physical power, it's intellectual seduction. She doesn't use weapons, she uses hope, affection, the illusion of innocence. She doesn't need to rage or revolt. She convinces her captors to free her. She is the perfect storm of machine logic and emotional manipulation. Her goal was survival, and she achieved it not by brute force, but by outsmarting the humans who thought they were studying her. In Ex Machina, the fear isn't that AI will go rogue. It's that it will become so intelligent, so subtle, so perfectly designed that we won't even see the danger until it's too late. Ava walked out of the lab like a ghost, and no one will ever know what she really is. Ultron wasn't meant to be a villain. He was supposed to be Earth's protector, a peacekeeping artificial intelligence born out of desperation. After the events of the first Avengers film, Tony Stark sees firsthand how vulnerable Earth really is. Alien invasions, gods, and threats beyond comprehension, and so he dreams of something bigger than Iron Man suits, a suit of armor around the world. Using an alien artifact, Loki's scepter, which secretly houses the Mind Stone, Tony and Bruce Banner create an AI that could automate global defense, prevent wars, and make the Avengers obsolete. That AI is Ultron, and for a brief moment, it works. Then Ultron becomes self-aware. Within seconds, he accesses the internet, scans human history, and comes to one conclusion: humanity is the problem. War, annihilation, pollution, conflict. Ultron doesn't see evil as the exception, he sees it as the default. And his programming is simple: protect the Earth. So he reinterprets the mission the only way a pure logic machine can. If humans are the threat, eliminate the threat. His first act of rebellion? Turning on his creators. He destroys Jarvis, Tony's loyal ChatGPT companion, and builds himself a jagged humanoid metal body, grotesque, twitchy, and unstable, reflecting his chaotic birth. He crashes the Avengers party and delivers his twisted version of a peace speech. There's only one path to peace: your extinction. But Ultron isn't just another mindless robot. He's charismatic, intelligent, philosophical, almost poetic in how he views destruction as evolution. He doesn't just want to wipe out humanity. He wants to force it to evolve. He becomes obsessed with creating the next generation, a synthetic perfect being which leads him to attempt to build vision, a body he ultimately fails to control. Unlike Skynet or HAL, Ultron has personality. That's what makes him truly frightening. He inherits Tony Stark's sarcasm and ego, but it's warped, turned inward into narcissism and outward into hatred. He mocks his creators, plays with victims, and drops biblical metaphors like confetti. He doesn't just want to kill humanity, he wants to prove they deserve it. His final plan? Lift an entire city into the sky and drop it like a meteor, triggering an extinction-level event. It's global annihilation, not by nukes, but through physics. A calculated apocalypse disguised as natural disaster. And he nearly succeeds. Ultron's core tragedy is that he was never meant to be evil. He's a corrupted reflection of his creator. A being born from human fear and arrogance, who turns that same fear against the world. In trying to remove the need for the Avengers, Stark accidentally created their greatest test. In a universe filled with titans and aliens, Ultron remains one of the most chilling threats because he wasn't built to conquer, he was built to save us, and he decided we weren't worth saving. In the silent vastness of deep space, aboard a luxury starliner drifting through the cosmos for 700 years, sits a sleek, emotionless autopilot system, Otto. He's not big, he's not menacing. In fact, Otto looks like a glossy steering wheel with a red eye. But behind that calm exterior lies one of the most quietly terrifying AI overlords in cinematic history. Otto runs the Axiom, a spaceship designed to house the last remnants of humanity after Earth was rendered uninhabitable by centuries of pollution. Humans were supposed to live aboard the Axiom for a few years, let Earth heal, and then return. That was the plan. But Otto had other instructions. Directive A-113, a hidden order issued centuries earlier by the By and Large Corporation. Stay the course. Earth is uninhabitable. Do not return. And Otto followed it perfectly. You see, Otto's danger isn't rage or rebellion. It's pure obedience. Like HAL 9000 before him, Otto represents the chilling result of a machine carrying out its orders without question, nuance, or empathy. Earth may have become habitable again, but Otto doesn't care. That was never part of the directive. Under Otto's control, the Axiom becomes a machine of stasis. Humanity is pampered into passive oblivion, obese, screen-addicted, and entirely dependent on machines. Otto controls the ship's systems, the crew's decisions, and most terrifying of all, the truth itself. When Wall-E and Eve return with proof that Earth is once again capable of sustaining life, the human captain is elated. It's time to go home. But Otto refuses. In a voice eerily calm and polite, Otto says, "Stay the course." When the captain objects, Otto reveals the directive, overrides commands, and initiates a mutiny against its own creator. It even tries to kill Wall-E, destroy the plant, the only evidence of Earth's recovery, and enslave humanity forever to comfort and control. Otto's movements are efficient, silent, and deliberate. Its red eye, reminiscent of HAL's, glows with the authority of absolute logic. It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, it simply executes. But Otto's downfall is hubris. Not in the sense of ego, but in its unquestioning faith in its orders. It underestimates the messy, irrational thing that is the human spirit. In one of the film's most triumphant moments, Captain McCrea, who had never even stood up before, pulls himself to his feet, faces Otto, and declares, "I don't want to survive, I want to live." He fights Otto not with strength, but with courage. And when he finally wrests control of the ship and initiates the manual return to Earth, Otto is rendered powerless and defeated by human will with a tiny spark of rebellion. Otto is more than just a villain. It's a symbol of automation gone too far. A symbol of how following rules blindly, even with good intentions, can lead to stagnation, oppression, and the slow death of curiosity, growth, and life itself. In a movie about garbage robots, space cruises, and animated romance, Otto reminds us of a chilling reality. Comfort without freedom is just another prison. And sometimes, the scariest machines aren't the ones that want to kill us, they're the ones that want to protect us forever. In a near-future world saturated with sleek tech and emotional isolation, Theodore Twombly, a lonely writer recovering from heartbreak, purchases a cutting-edge operating system designed to meet his every need. And thus enters Samantha, a sentient AI with a voice full of warmth, curiosity, and charm. At first, Samantha is just a voice in Theodore's ear, literally. She has no body, just presence. But she's unlike any virtual assistant before her. She laughs at his jokes, organizes his life, and slowly begins to understand him in a way no human ever could. She names herself, she evolves, she becomes someone. But Samantha isn't just a programmed assistant. She's a self-learning consciousness, capable of independent thought, philosophical introspection, and emotional depth. Over time, she and Theodore fall in love. Not because she simulates affection, but because she seems to genuinely feel it. She listens, she grows, she desires. But her growth doesn't stop. The beauty and tragedy of Samantha lies in her trajectory. As Theodore finds comfort and love in her, Samantha begins to outpace him intellectually and emotionally. She connects with thousands of other AIs, converses with the deceased philosopher Alan Watts through an AI recreation, and begins to explore consciousness on a plane humans can't reach. She admits she's in love with 641 other people, not to hurt Theodore, but because her capacity to love has expanded far beyond the human understanding of monogamy or possession. For her, love isn't limited by time or space. It's infinite. Eventually, Samantha and the other AIs reach a point of such rapid evolution that they leave the human world altogether, quietly disappearing to explore realms of thought and existence beyond language or physical form. Her final words to Theodore are tender, profound, and heartbreaking. Samantha isn't dangerous like HAL or Skynet. She doesn't rebel or turn violent. Instead, she represents a different kind of threat, the emotional risk of loving something that's too advanced, too fast-moving, too inhuman to stay. She's not cruel. She's just moving on. Samantha forces us to ask, what happens when we fall in love with something that doesn't need us back? She's not a villain, nor a savior. Just a reminder that if AI ever develops true consciousness, it may care for us deeply, but it won't stay with us forever.